All right, we are back here on the podcast, getting ready to talk some training camp here. Giants are in camp this week. The vibes are definitely better, it seems like, here. Joining me today, great friend of the podcast, one of the co-hosts of the Giant Insider podcast, Jerry Foley is here with us. Jerry, how are you?
Good, Mike. How you been, man?
Doing good, getting the itch for some football back. And I feel the Giant fans going to be very happy with some of the early reports coming out of camp. I feel like all the vibes feel like so great, so different. I mean, we got Tom Coughlin out there the other day giving some wisdom to the guys. It's definitely a good spot.
It's so much different than last year, and I don't always want to dwell on Daniel Jones because it's a little unfair, but some of it's deserved. And just the fact that, not so much that Russell Wilson's in, but that Daniel Jones is gone, but the fact that they added, so many intriguing guys, and it starts with Abdul Carter and Jackson Dart and, Cam Scattaboo, and even in free agency, Hudson's working out. Like, there's just a different feel. Like, the Giants are kind of building something here. Don't know what they have, but they're building something. And, two good drafts in a row, a decent free agency, you can kind of just feel the vibes changing, Mike.
Yeah, definitely a great time for the vibes changing. And obviously the big change in the quarterback room here, because Daniel Jones has been gone since the middle of last season. They bring in the two vets. Russell Wilson's going to start. James Winston backing him up. They draft Jackson Dart, obviously, first round to be the future guy. But start with the two vets, Wilson and Winston. Like, what are you feeling about them as they head into camp in their assigned roles?
Well, Winston kind of has changed for me. I don't know. I don't think he's going to be the number 2 quarterback when the season starts. And I don't even think he's going to be on the roster when the season starts. I think if he is, he's going to be the 3rd quarterback. But, I could see him being moved before the season to a team that needs either a veteran or a starter, a true number 2. Because, look, with the progression of Jackson Dart, it doesn't make any sense to make him the 3 quarterback. So, look, Winston is what he is. He's a veteran. We know he can, he can sling it, but he can also throw a crippling interception. I'm excited about Wilson because I just think he's a big upgrade over Daniel Jones, right? So, for all the faults that Wilson had in Denver and Pittsburgh, it's welcome here because of how bad Jones was, especially the last couple of seasons. So I'm excited about Russell Wilson, but we'll see how long Russell Wilson holds the spot. The Giants come out of their schedule's brutal. If they start out of the game 1-3, 1-4, something like that, and the quarterback play is not up to par, then Jackson Dart's going to get in there sooner rather than later. But right now, pretty excited about the quarterback room. It's vastly improved from last year.
Yeah, definitely improved from last year. I see the Winston point you made. It feels like something that happened with the Jets. I think back when they drafted Darnold, they had Teddy Bridgewater in camp, and then they said we don't need him, so they trade him for like a day 3 pick. I could see that kind of thing happen. Somebody lose their quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, look, they got a 6th rounder for Darren Waller. I could see them getting a 5th for Jameis Winston or a 6th. That makes sense, and that would be a smart move, right? I don't see where he fits in here, right? And he's great with the media. And again, if you needed a guy who could come in for a couple of weeks and hold down the fort, he's the guy. But the Giants are in a different situation. If Winston was here last year, right, backing up Daniel Jones, that's one thing. But he's the third man here now, especially with Dart progressing the way he is and Dart being the future. So, yeah, I could see him being moved before the season starts. I'm at the point now where I'd be a little surprised if he wasn't moved before the season starts.
Yeah, I would agree with that here. And in terms of Jackson Dart here, obviously he's gotten a lot of rave reviews early in camp. He's got like a ton of praise from the guys in the room who've seen him work hard. And we knew when the token that there's going to be some work involved here. But it does feel like if this thing does go off the rails at some point, that you are going to see Jackson Dart at some point this season. How do you feel about what he's done so far?
Yeah, my over-under is 8. I mean, we talk about on the podcast, when do you think it could happen, right? And it depends how the team's doing. If the Giants somehow are 5-3 or 4-4, I don't think it's going to happen. But as the season goes on, if the season kind of falls off the tracks, you're looking at week 8, week 9, when they come back from that long break. I think they play Philly or something on a Thursday, and then they play Denver. Look for that game to where Jackson Dart might come in then. It's going to be around week 8 if the season goes, awry or if they're not competitive, right? If they're still in it, a lot of factors play into it. But if I just basically, if they're still in it, I think Russell Wilson's going to be the starter for a long time this year. But if the things go awry or his play is a reason they're losing, or if Gable feels his play is the reason they're losing, and Jackson Dart's ready, they're going to roll with Jackson Dart, man.
Yeah, it's exciting to see if he can pull a Wilson on Wilson and sort of take that job in camp. But I also look at some of the other interesting spots here. Obviously, the running back room, obviously, you got Tyrone Tracy had the big rookie year. Devin Singletary still around. Cam Scatterbo turned heads like in the draft, and he had some big fans in mini camp. Like, how do you feel that running back situation is going to shake out?
Love the running back room. Love that it's Tracy and Scatterbo right now. They're 1 and 2, and they're 1 and 1A, whatever you want to call them. I love that Scatterbo is not just he's not a third down back, because Tracy can catch the ball out of the backfield as a converted wide receiver. So you just have two running backs rather, who can play for one another and provide relief for the other. So I love that. I love that both guys are a little different, but they both can catch the ball out of the backfield. So it's not like you bring in one guy with good hands who can catch it. They both have good hands. Singletary is what he is. He's the steady veteran. He's the third guy. Chris says the guy to watch is Dante Turbo Miller, right? Like, he has a shot at making this team, especially with Eric Gray on PUP, right? So Eric Gray may be the odd man out, and then Miller may make the team. But right now, Scatterbo's a fourth-round pick, but he's going to see some playing time, man. He's turning some heads in camp. He's got quick feet. He reads the blocking very well, and he's quick to adjust. He's not blazing fast. He's faster than I thought he was, right? Like, watching him play, he was quick in Arizona State, but, it's college. But then you see him in the pros, and you think, wow, this kid can do some things here. So I love the running back room. It's got a lot of depth. It's a very solid position for this team right now.
It is a solid position for this team. Another area of interest, I feel like, is, especially after the offseason moves here, like, go to the defense side of the ball. First off, like, Abdul Carter at number three. Like, I mean, everything we've heard about Abdul Carter makes it seem like that, like, this guy is going to be everything we thought Kayvon Thibodeau was going to be and more. Like, the Giants with him and Thibodeau and Burns, like, we know Giant fans know that, like, they win usually when they have these elite pass rushers here. They have one right now.
Yeah, and when I compare Abdul Carter to when I watched Jeremy Shockey in college, right? He was just a man among boys, and you just think, wow, we need a tight end. Just draft this Shockey kid. Figure it out and get it done. And I felt the same way about Carter, watching him, especially against Notre Dame, playing with one arm. It was like, this guy's unblockable, and he's playing with one arm. He's just such a ridiculous talent. And, the early results are in, and if he's healthy, he's going to be an absolute weapon. He may not be officially listed as the right defensive, the right edge, but he's going to be all over the field. Shane Bowen's already lining him up everywhere, thank God. He's getting very creative with him. This is an impact guy. This is a franchise. I said this before the draft. This is a franchise-changing type of player. And when they made the pick, I could not have been more happy. And I said it on the podcast. Once they took Carter, they could have almost done anything after that. I would have been happy. And Carter is as advertised. He is an absolute monster. He's fast, great bend, plethora of moves. He's just, and he seems to have it upstairs, right? Like, he's catching on to the playbook, and that's what even Brian Burns was impressed with, right? It's not just that he's beating backups. Now he's playing against Jermaine Illuminor a lot. He's going against him, and he's just been a godsend to this organization right now. So we'll see if it translates to the preseason. I'm sure it will. I think it's going to get more exciting when we see him in the preseason, and then when the season starts. So.
Yeah, it's for sure here. Other area on that defense, I feel they got a lot better as a secondary because they made the big additions in the offseason. Paulson, Adebo in the corner, Javon Holland, safety. We know the secondary was sort of a tire fire at points to the Giants last year now. It feels like, I know that there are still some questions about that spot opposite Adebo at corner and, like, what's going on there. But, like, in a division and a conference, they're doing a lot of top quarterbacks. Having that secondary fix would be very important.
Yeah, I'm psyched about Tyler Nubin's second year. I think he's going to be very good. I think he didn't bring the ball hawking with him last year, but safety's tough. Safety's tough, a tough adjustment to make your first year. And then the addition of Holland should help him greatly. I still like Dane Belton, man. Dane Belton finds the ball. If Dane Belton's our third safety, I'm pretty happy with that. As far as corner, Adebo's playing well. He's kind of as advertised. It's the other side that's not concerning, but interesting. Because, I was talking to Chris about it last night on the podcast, Cordell Flott and Tay Banks, that's a real competition right now. You don't know who's going to win that one. Tay Banks is he's on his receivers, but his technique's still terrible. He doesn't turn around when the ball comes. It's just very weird. But Drew Phillips, I always look at this defensive secondary as if 4 of the 5 spots, for the most part, are kind of locked down. I'm not saying they're Pro Bowlers, but they're locked down. And Adebo, Drew Phillips, Holland, and Nubin. It's that second corner spot that's a question mark right now. And don't be surprised if Flott wins that one. I think the organization wants Banks to win because he was a first-round pick. But Flott's holding his own over there right now, so we'll see what happens there. But that's the most concerning spot for me, that second cornerback spot.
Absolutely here. In terms of the camp battles, you always look at the camp battles and say, okay, what positions are really up for grabs in the preseason? I'm going to take quarterback out of it because you sort of see, okay, maybe Dart's playing to be the backup here, but like, what other spots are you watching and saying, okay, this is the camp battle I think could be interesting for Giant fans to keep an eye on over the next few weeks?
Yeah, I think right guard, but it's not so much because of Greg Van Roten. It might be because of John Michael Schmitz. Now, I'm just talking myself here. It would not stun me if Greg Van Roten started out the season at center and Evan Neal was at right guard. I've heard of crazier things happen. Now, it will probably be JMS and Van Roten, but Evan Neal is adjusting to guard right now, and he's playing pretty well there. So that's a battle in that the way it may shake out is because of what's happening at center, right? So you think, okay, Greg Van is a better right guard right now than Evan Neal. However, maybe it's an upgrade if Van Roten goes to center at first and Neal slides to guard, and then JMS just sits behind Van Roten for I don't know how long. And I don't know if that will happen, but I'm just saying it wouldn't stun me if it did.
Yeah, it wouldn't stun me either here. And we talk about also, we watch camp, you look for those rookies who are trying to stand out here, like whether it's a pick, whether it's some guy who signs a rookie free agent, is everything heads. Who are some of the early guys you're watching at camp in terms of rookies?
I mean, besides Abdul Carter, oh my God. The rookies, it's an easy one. It's Abdul Carter, it's Scadaboo, it's Jackson Dart. But the guy who's a little behind right now because he's missed some time is Darius Alexander. I was high on him when he came out. One of the scouts, Brendan Prophet, was basically found him, and I love the way you're looking at his film in college. He almost tackles you like you used to pick on him in the old neighborhood. Like he's a violent player. So he's one I want to see him more and more. I'd like to see him how he plays in the preseason. That's kind of the guy I want to keep an eye on because he can help immediately. Right, the Giants need to stop the run, and as good as Abdul Carter is going to be. Look, he's going to help against the run, but he's a pass rusher, right? That's what those guys get paid the big bucks for. You can bring down one of the safeties or both of the safeties into the box to help out against the run, but it's going to be the guys that line up along with Dexter Lawrence on that line. Is Nacho up to the task? I think Darius Alexander has a tremendous opportunity here, so that's the guy that I'm going to be watching the most, at least in the preseason.
Absolutely here. Last question here is obviously we get into camp here and obviously with the tough schedule, with the division, hopes are not high for the Giants in most outlets here. So what's your assessment? Do you feel like that this team can be more surprising than people expect?
I do. It's going to come down to quarterback again. It's going to be is this offensive line, functioning, right? Can they just function as an average unit? And I think they can, especially but Andrew Thomas has to get back, right? So if you have Thomas, Van Roten, say it's John Michael Schmitz, either Neal or Runyon, I meant to say, if I didn't say it, JMS or Van Roten at center, and then Neal or Van Roten at guard, and then Illuminor, it's a pretty good offensive line. Right, and then you got Bo, another rookie I want to look at too. Right, it's another rookie I'm excited to see in real action. So you have him as kind of a swing guy, right? And I know Hudson has been playing left tackle right now as well. But it's the offensive line. Are they going to hold up? And then what does Russell Wilson have left? That's what it comes down to, right? Because the Giants have weapons at the running back position. They're one of the best receivers in the NFL. I know he's a rookie last year, but let's be honest, he's going to be one of the best receivers. They have talent at tight end and Theo Johnson, right? And Bellinger's a decent backup. So you have weapons. It's a matter of who's the second receiver. Wandale's a slot guy. He's still got a lot to prove, and it's right now it's Darius Slayton, and because Jalen Hyatt's not doing anything. But it's going to come down to is the offensive line, can they function, and what does Russell Wilson have left? So I think they can surprise if those two things turn out to be pretty good. Like if the line can block and they can protect Wilson and he has something left in the tank, we know the defense is going to be good. It's going to be a hell of a pass rush. So, yeah, why not? Why couldn't they surprise?
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely a fun season for sure. Keep an eye on it, especially like with the young guys coming in here. Potentially, especially if Dart gets on the field, there'll be a lot of intrigue here. Jerry, thanks for all the time.
There was no fun last year with Daniel Jones. It just wasn't because you knew what was happening, right? It was such a down year the year before. Let's be honest. Like for me, that season ended last year in preseason when I watched him throw that pick against the Texans. I just said, what is it, 1921 season? 6-year quarterback cannot make that throw, and he still made those throws. Like, it wasn't just physical, it was mental with Jones. So right away, you were just going into games thinking, we don't really have a shot here. So it's just such a different vibe. I'm sorry to say it. I don't mean to dwell on it because I feel bad for the guy. But it's a different vibe with Daniel Jones gone and these guys in. It's a more exciting team. And the fact that you drafted a kid like Abdul Carter, who is looking like a bona fide menace. I mean, it's changing the whole franchise.
Yes, I absolutely agree on that. Very exciting to see what happens here with the Giants this year. Jerry, thank you for all the time. I really appreciate it. If you want to keep up with you guys over on Giant Insider, how can I do that?
Yeah, go to our YouTube channel at Giant Insider, and then we're available on any podcast platform, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, everything. Giant Insider.
Absolutely. Thanks for all the time, Jerry. Really appreciate it. Hope we get a good football season around here. We're overdue.
Oh, my God. Are we ever, buddy? See ya.